Good morning, Tallahassee. It's time to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Wake Up War Chant is brought to you by TNT Supercenter, 14585 U.S. Highway 19, Thomasville, Georgia. Here's WarChant.com's Aslan Hajavandi and Corey Clark.
Can't be any geek off the street. Gotta be handy with the steel, if you know what I mean. Earn your keep.
Regulators, mount up. It was a clear black night, a clear white moon. Warren G was on the streets.
All right, we made it, folks. It's a Friday edition of Wake Up War Chant right here on ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee. I'm Aslan, joined by Corey Clark. As always, the show brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. 3 awesome locations over in the College Town District, Central, Madison Social, and Township. Go over this weekend. Check them out next week, next month, whenever you want. They'll be there because they are that awesome. Speaking of awesome, I got really good news for everybody, Corey, and I got really bad news. I'm going to deliver the good news first. Ira Schoffel joining us right here live in studio today. Ira, how are you, man?
I'm good. I feel like I should get a sound effect or something.
Schoffel, Ira Schoffel. Sorry, I should say your name first off correctly because everyone says my name incorrectly. Sound effect, I'll play Warren G. The intro should be Warren G. Okay, music. We'll play Regulators for you.
Sounds good.
The bad news, Corey, is that yeah, that's why he's here.
Jimbo Chronicles.
That's why he's here. So, folks, you got to take the good with the bad. You've got 5-star Schoffel, but we're going to have to talk a little about the Chronicles. And first off, Corey, I think I'm probably better friends with Ira because I've known Ira longer. But since you and I have developed this rapport, I don't know if I'm more upset at you or Ira because you guys let me sit here and spit out all these hot takes about Jimbo being cool, and I love Jimbo, and I'm sad that we lost Jimbo. And Ira basically was laid out, 800 words or 16 inches or whatever you guys do in your line of work, basically outlining the other day that this was just an absolute disaster for like the last 18 to 24 months. None of you could have stopped me and be like, Aslan, maybe chill out on the Jimbo love.
We tried, man.
Well,
we tried.
I tried to tell you that he was like Attila the Hun, and you wouldn't listen. You're like, well, he still wins games. And I'm like, he's an awful, awful person. That's a joke, by the way. He's not an awful person. He might have been mean to people the last few years or the last 8 years of Florida State. But, hey, man, you learned. I think the people on War Chant kind of put you in your place more than Ira and I needed to.
Well, it would have been nice if you guys would have told me so they wouldn't have had to put me in my place. But duly noted.
Sometimes you got to let somebody learn on their own. You
like the 5 funky questions with Fred. I
exactly.
should have stepped in and be like, no, Aslan.
No, I was all with you on that.
You were.
I think you were just before your time.
I was. Like Randall Cunningham.
You and Fred Rouse were before your time.
I was an innovator.
But yeah, the thing about when I wrote that, I kind of was like, man, this is a train wreck. But then I was like, I was writing about why things went downhill. I'm sure there were some positive things as well, right, Corey? But
yeah, we touched on that. He did win a national title. He won some games and put some guys in the league.
It's just listen.
There was some very good tenure. There were very good first half of Jimbo's tenure. And I wrote a lot about that. I was like 1,500 words I wrote on the good things that Jimbo did. So Ira, I think it seemed like that was about 4,900 words that you wrote on the things you did wrong.
It was a little bit longer than yours.
But you had a lot more ammo to work with than I did. You had a lot more material.
It's just at the end of the day, and I don't know, we're never going to get to answer. This is the question I want to know, is that how could a guy who built this program on toughness, effort, and discipline, and we'll move on from this, folks. I promise you this won't be the only thing we're talking about today. We're going to take all your questions from the Renegade Express. Like, how could it just go so sour? The stories you fleshed out the other day, I'm just like, holy cow. Just trashing planes, coaches fighting. It's just what happened? And, how could that happen?
Somebody asked on the boards, and I haven't gone back to answer yet because I had some stuff going on in the afternoon. Somebody asked later in the day, when did you realize this was happening? And really, honestly, most of that stuff was in the last 18 to 24 months. It wasn't like that was all going on 4 or 5 years ago. Now, there were a few that were gradual. For example, the quarterback recruiting, that's a more of a tangible thing.
How does that happen?
You tell me, man. I've never understood that Malik Henry class. And you think about those 3 years, you're coming off of Jameis Winston, Ponder, and E.J. Manuel both go in the first round. Jameis is a Heisman Trophy winner. In your 2014, 15, and 16 classes, you end up with one quarterback that pans out, DeAndre Francois. And we're not even sure he pans out.
Yeah.
He panned out. And he got a year out of him. Don't know.
He wanted Kyle Loxley, and Kyle Loxley's flamed down. He hasn't even developed into anything either.
And so, that was just odd, the decisions he made. I think, if you want to go deeper than I went in that story, was you could make the case that Jimbo, I think, maybe started to believe he could turn guys into quarterbacks. I mean, for example, J.J. Cosentino, he passed for like 700 yards his senior year of high school. I mean,
it's not a lot, people. It's not a lot.
You're coming off of the success. I mean, going back to the LSU days, Jimbo had produced how many first-round quarterbacks has he produced? 6, 7?
Jamarcus is in there.
Well, he produced 4 in a row. I think those are the only 4 that were first-round picks, but he produced Matt Flynn was an NFL quarterback.
Rohan
he produced
Davey was
7
decent.
NFL quarterbacks.
So at that point, you're signing J.J. Cosentino? And then even if you've had J.J. in the system, then you go out and sign, you got the one thing that was unlucky was DeAndre Johnson. You couldn't have predicted that. But then the next year, Malik Henry, who was a kid that everywhere he went, people were telling Jimbo, don't sign this kid. He signs him, and he's the only quarterback he signs. So anyway, there were some things like that were gradual, and then there were some other things that really just kind of went off the cliff the last year or two. And I think, that's a lot of times the relationships on the coaching staff. Bringing back Damian Craig, I thought was a big mistake because of his relationships with some of the other coaches on the staff. And then the entitlement, those types of things were more gradual as well. But I think it all kind of culminated those last 2 years. I think the biggest problems in 2015 and 2016 were more you didn't have a quarterback or you were playing a guy that wasn't ready. Everett Golson or DeAndre Francois, a redshirt freshman. I think those were your biggest problems at that point. But towards the end of 2016 and all of 2017, the problems were a lot deeper than one player here or there.
I kind of like the valet thing, though.
Oh, do you really?
The valet thing, I think, is pretty. Listen, I don't know. I guess you make these guys feel way too important, but I think as a player, I don't know. There's the two things: right? You either feel entitled or you feel like you're being taken care of, and I don't know, that just makes you feel good in a good way. But I guess it's a little bit absurd.
It's funny because the way I found out about that, I was actually at practice one day. We had interviewed Jimbo on a Thursday. The only day of the week this past season we interviewed him after practice was on Thursdays, and we would get him. Up in the coaches' offices, and then we would leave as the players are getting done showering or whatever. We'd all leave, but it had rained that night, and so I was stuck in the Moore Center. I couldn't go get my car, and all these players were stuck in there because they were waiting on their valet cars. And I'm just sitting. It's one of those things like you see it happening, and you're like, is this what I think is happening? Is that really happening? These guys are valet parking the players' cars. And it's just and then I asked a couple of people, and they're just shaking their heads. People, longtime employees, of the university, were just like, "Yeah, man, we valet park these kids' cars." I mean, I get your point, and somebody said that we should promote it. Like, hey, recruits, come here. We're going to valet park your cars in practice.
Come to Florida State. You're going to leave on Thursdays during the fall. You're not going to have to go to class. We'll valet your car. Yeah, these are good. These are good perks.
We'll drive your parents up to all your games.
That's
we'll pay for your car.
That's a no-no.
Anything you want to get you to Florida State.
But a lot of people in the athletic department would in fact, people are texting me today going, you knew about that? And they were just, people that work in the athletics department going, oh man, that was the most embarrassing thing. And it's, again, I think that's one thing that
Ira Stan Wilcox doesn't have a valet.
Exactly. The athletic director doesn't have a valet.
Well, I'm sure he has a safe spot, though. He has a safe spot that's probably right next to the Moore Center.
Still,
come on,
man.
Right, but then the associate AD are the people that work at Florida State. It's an awful message to send,
especially
to everyone in that building, that your kids are more important than everyone else, even when you're 3 and 6.
You think that players tip? Who do you think was the best tipper on the team?
I was wondering about that. Probably not. Probably not. I mean, if they came out with food from the cafeteria, maybe they give them a roll or something.
Here's a chicken wing.
Yeah, here's a wing that I didn't like. I don't like flats, so here's a wing you can have, man.
But when you couple it with the APR was just a disaster the last few years.
Concerning.
And what we were hearing again, this is another one of those things that you saw the APR sliding over the last 3 or 4 years, but you kind of as long as it's a passing where they're not going to get punished, okay, whatever. It could be a blip on the radar. But then again, this past season, and this is what happens when you start losing and relationships are fraying, people start talking more. But this past season, you started hearing that, man, the coaching staff was not giving any support to academics. The way it works is they have all these academic support staff people, tutors and advisors, but they can encourage kids to come and get tutoring and study and do their homework and all that stuff. But it's actually the coaches are the ones, at the other end of it that can enforce it and say, look, man, if you don't go to your tutoring, we're not going to play you. Or if you don't do all your homework, you're not going to start this week. But apparently the last year or two, or maybe 3, there just was no accountability from the coaching staff, which again goes into all of those factors where they weren't holding him accountable.
And maybe him being checked out, maybe this Texas A&M thing being more on the horizon than we had anticipated or thought.
I think that was kerosene at the end, to where it was like, we're not doing anything. We're not helping at all. We're not holding anybody accountable. But I think it had been gradually going that way anyway.
All right. So is this the final one, Ira, or will there be more? Get your sound effect.
Will there be more? One more. The grand finale. Gene Williams is going to come strong with the. He's going to come strong with the. Basically, looking at the last couple months and kind of when people realized, okay, he checked out long before he finally stopped coaching for Florida State. So that's going up on the site today.
What do you think the planes looked like after they were done with them?
From what I heard, man, the people. I didn't write this, but from what I heard, the people in the that worked on the charter would basically told some people at FSU in the administration, like, this is what we do. We do charter planes for teams and other programs or whatever. And you guys are the worst. You guys.
That's good. That's a notch in the nice notch in the belt. I heard the one time Darby tried to get into the cockpit and actually fly. That was 14. I think that was on their way to Louisville.
No, man, it's a no-fly zone.
They were pretty entitled, so they wanted to fly the plane that one trip.
That was Jameis. That wasn't Darby.
Oh, okay, my fault. I heard wrong.
Oh, man. All right, let's step aside for our first break of the day. When we come back, will Ira be here? Who knows? 5-star Schoffel is a very important man. We'll try to hold on to him as long as we can. It's Wake Up War Chant right here on ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
I'm Aslan, Corey joining us from Atlanta, and then here in studio, the Tribal Council has voted. Ira Schoffel gets to stay for another segment. Thanks for being here, folks. It's Wake Up War Chant right here on ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee, brought to you by For the Table Hospitality. 3 awesome locations over in College Town, Central, Madison Social, and Township. Go ahead, check them on out. You won't be disappointed. Let's bring in our bracketologist, Corey Clark, now. Corey.
First off, before we start that,
sure.
People, go wake up your kids. Go wake up your husband or your wife. Ira is in studio. Wake them up. This is good radio. Wake them up and listen to this thing.
Call your neighbors.
It's like off-brand headlines. Yeah, this is like this is not the Girl Scout cookies, but this is like the cookies at the Dollar General. Have you ever had? There's certain flavors, certain whatever varieties of Girl Scout cookies that they literally sell at Dollar General that taste just like the Girl Scout variety.
They're
yes, they're imposters, but they're to the spec on.
Really?
And I'm a Samoa guy. I'm a big Samoa guy. And they have the Samoa kind. I'm like, oh, they're like $1.75. I feel kind of dirty because I'm not supporting the girl. They're literally just called like peanut butter coconut cookies.
They're called fake Girl Scout cookies.
It's called like Cloverfield Valley is the off-brand name of it. But dude, it tastes.
I call it Boy Scout cookies. People know because people will then go, oh, okay, I see. They're going to be really close to Girl Scout cookies. I would not buy peanut butter chocolate cookie if that was like in a store and I saw that.
Right.
But if I knew it was like the tagalongs, I would buy 25 boxes of them.
When's the last time you've been in a Dollar General, Corey?
I want to say 92.
I
needed some socks.
Aslan and I are, I think, Dollar General, Dollar Tree kind of guys. I don't think Corey Clark's been in a Dollar General or Dollar Tree in a long time.
I'm not bougie. We're not bougie like Clark over here, man.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Aslan's got dogs peeing on him from the floor above.
Living rough, man. I'm living a rough life, man. I'm telling you that.
I saw Corey buy a $70 pair of jeans once, so just tells you a little something about that guy.
How do you guys know each other? How did you guys meet?
We worked together in Georgia,
Thomasville, Georgia.
All right.
Yeah, I had left Thomasville to go to work in South Florida at Sportsline.com.
Okay.
And then he got hired as a sports. I never would have hired him. He got hired as a sports writer, and then I came back and inherited him.
Right.
When I was managing editor.
And then you made do.
Yeah.
You made chicken salad out of
lemons,
chicken droppings.
I mean, Corey's a savant. Would you say Corey's a savant when it comes to like sports knowing?
Oh my God, it's crazy. Yeah, that's the good thing about like headlines is like he has that recall for like I can't remember literally. I cannot remember what happened in a game 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I just don't. That's like I cover it and then it's gone. The next day, who you could ask me the score. I probably won't be able to tell you. Corey, Jeff's pretty good about it sometimes. Corey, it's crazy. It's like Jimbo. He was the same way. Just that recall. It's crazy.
That's why they got along. That's why you guys got along so well, right? Corey's because he would talk about Chip Ferguson. He'd be like, oh, yeah, I totally remember the Chip Ferguson era. And everybody else was like, what?
The 85 to 88, his senior day against Florida. I remember all that. He was the quarterback for the Punt-Rooski. What's weird about that is I remember I could name from 1966 to 1999, I could name every NCAA basketball champion, just run them off year by year. But I couldn't tell you who won it in 2011. Like my mind, it just stopped for some reason. I don't know why our minds do that. Like I can remember so clearly things from the 80s and 90s.
When did you start smoking weed?
2012.
The medicinal kind. Corey's got
medicinal,
glaucoma.
Pray
for him, everybody.
Yeah.
All right. So I think everything worked out in Florida State's favor to change gears here, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of there hasn't been any bracket busters from conference tournaments. I think Boston College losing was a good thing, I would assume, right? Because they could have maybe stuck. And I think Notre Dame ended up losing as well last night, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that was I don't think Boston College would have had to win the whole thing. Right. To get in. Notre Dame losing was a pretty big deal. I don't know how much that would have impacted Florida State. But the only thing you wonder is, okay, how many teams are they going to be willing to take from the ACC? And if Notre Dame had beaten Duke and had won 3 straight games with Bonzie Colson, they might have been like, look, they deserve to be in because they didn't have their best player for 3 months. But that didn't happen. And quite frankly, they talk about the eye test. Well, man, Bonzie Colson, they barely beat Pitt. They barely beat Virginia Tech after Virginia Tech just melted down. They were down 20 and then got rolled by Duke. So they didn't pass the eye test either. They don't belong in the tournament. That helped. Louisville losing helped. There were a lot of, Missouri losing, Oklahoma State losing, kind of everything, Texas losing. But just there were a lot of teams on the bubble, Marquette, that were kind of in play with Florida State that all seemed to lose. I think Florida State was fine anyway, but now the bubble is so incredibly soft, I couldn't fathom how they would get knocked out of it now. Middle Tennessee State did lose, and they're like 20 – they lost to Southern Miss, by the way. Middle Tennessee State's one of those teams that they thought was going to win they were
Conference
supposed
USA.
to win their conference. They were 27-4. They lost to Southern Miss, and Florida State beat that Southern Miss team literally by 53 points in December.
Yeah, Southern
the team
Miss
that just beat Middle Tennessee State.
Southern Miss is wolf. Yeah, they're not good at all.
Yeah, I'm so conflicted on the tournament, man. When the mid-major teams, on the one hand, I think it stinks that some of these conferences only get one team in. Like you have to win your conference tournament, or you can't, or you're not going to get in. On the other hand, some of these teams are so bad. Like you just said, Florida State kills that Southern Miss team who wins their conference. Or
they could.
Yeah. So how would you say somehow it came down to Middle Tennessee State, who went 27-7, I think, against Florida State, who went 20-11.
But there's
Middle
no way
Tennessee State MTSU had a good non-conference schedule too, but they lost most of the games. They don't have any good wins. So I understand you feel bad for them. Like, yeah, they deserve that's awful that one bad night cost them the whole season. But at the same time, they lost to a team that lost to Florida State by 50-plus points. So who belongs in the tournament? Who's the better team? And that's what the committee's there to decide, really.
They actually lost in overtime, Middle Tennessee. They were 24-6 heading into the contest. They're now 24-7, and their season is over.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you feel like if you go 24-6 or 24-7, you feel like that's a tournament team. But that's the difference between the big time conferences and those middle of the road conferences is they have no margin for error in their tournaments.
And I know if Jim Lamar's listening to this right now, he's yelling at us to give a shout out to Kermit Davis, the head coach at Middle Tennessee, because he's got Chipola ties.
Panhandle ties.
Yeah, there you go. The Big Ben, baby. Corey's all about keeping it local too. Corey's always pointing out the local guys, and he's got the newspaper man who will never go away. He's a newspaper man. This whole .com internet thing.
Bend. Everybody has love for the Big Bend.
Indeed. All right, so the Renegade Express, we'll get to that later on. We'll be taking your questions and your gripes. It looks like there's a lot more gripes this time around than questions, but they're usually coming at me, Corey. So that's like the good thing, Corey. You can play like the good cop, and I'm always going to be the bad cop because everyone loves Corey Ira.
He is
I
lovable.
Don't feel like I'm playing that role. I
You're
just
not.
am that
you
role.
just are.
I
Yeah.
am the good cop.
That's the way you can.
It's not an act.
It's not.
It's the cheeks, man. He's lovable.
They're squeezable. They're pinchable.
Football-wise, I don't know. Is the chase over, Ira? I saw they posted something with Harlan Barnett, but I think that takes them like a good 24 hours to turn around a video that I would be able to do in 3 hours, but I'm not bragging. they post these videos like,
Yeah.
what do you, it's a minute 30.
Dude, I think
Figure
they
it
got
out.
it's state-sponsored media. It's got to go through about 25 layers of checks
Seriously.
and balances because they're not letting the real media cover any of this. It's all in-house. So I'm thinking it probably goes through, legal channels. They've got to get it approved by, Willie Taggart's family.
My thing is, do they not tell the video guys there, like, hey, get video of this guy, get video of that guy? There's no video of like James Blackman. There's no video of Marvin Wilson. It's like half the time it's walk-ons. Like, no offense, it's Caucasian kids that aren't Bailey Hockman. Like, why are you showing me video of this kid? I don't care. Show me Marvin Wilson doing like backflips and stuff. But they keep showing guys that are going to be inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. It's like, come on, guys. Like, don't you know the team you're covering? Give us a video of like Keith Gavin, glistening in sweat at 6:35 in the morning on the Al Dunlap practice fields. Get us going, guys.
People are so desperate, man. They'll take anything. They'll take on the walk-on they've never heard of. As long as they get a coach kind of talking over or telling them about how they're going to win championships and, give of themselves and sell each other out and whatever.
Corey, what are your thoughts on Hamza Nasser al-Din saying that, man, we come and get this bag? He's like, we got to get, I'm being for real, we're coming to get this bag. You being from the Jimmy Carter, from Atlanta, Buford represent, like it's tough out there. I think that's the motivating force. Is that what the kids are talking about? It's not chasing the ring, it's chasing the bag. Is that what it's all about these days?
I mean, the bag means money, right?
Usually, I don't think in this context, but I think it represents maybe something good, maybe something.
Yeah, that's. You think he's just chasing is the trophy in a bag?
That's what they do now. Is they keep the trophy in a bag, and you have to go get the bag.
It's like the Stanley Cup, and instead of being like in a hard shell case, they keep it in a nice soft bag.
It's like a burlap bag. Yeah, I remember that now. I remember seeing the 30 for 30 on it. Yeah, they keep it in a burlap bag tied with rope. And the players that win, they get to untie the rope and hoist it above their heads. So, hey, man, I'm glad he's saying it. That's what everybody's doing right now. They're all chasing that bag.
This team chasing excellence. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Chasing excellence?
chase excellence. You might stumble upon greatness or something.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
We'll take it.
So the chase is over, and then I guess spring break is
You
next
implied
week.
into that.
What's
you
that?
chase excellence, and you might stumble into a few wins.
I don't think
not
I don't think
bad.
stumble. I think we made stumble up. I don't think they really use stumble.
Hey, he was on Rome yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna email the people and be like, we're just gonna get him on Wake Up War Chant. Then.
We're trying to take that.
Do I
to
need to
proper
stay in my
channels.
lane? I'll stay in my lane. All right.
We're working on that right now. But
right.
yeah, man, he's been on everywhere except the local media. But anyway, yeah. So the chase is over. Spring break is next week, and then the week after that, they'll start spring practice. We'll actually have football to cover, Willie Taggart to interview, players to talk to. It's going to be a lot of fun. This show is going to be filled with information. Not that it isn't.
It already is.
Not that it isn't.
It's got Corey Clark on it for God's sakes. Come on, Ira. Pay the proper reverence.
Well, I wouldn't say it's filled with information, but there are tidbits in between, talking about Tinder and Aslan's dog and my cheeks and all that stuff. There are tidbits of information we try to drop.
A lot of Jimbo. You gotta sift through that burlap bag and you'll find some tidbits.
And horse chips and whatever that he's doing out there in College Station. All right, when we come back, we'll dive right into the Renegade Express mailbag with Ira Schoffel joining us here in studio. I'll be right back after this.
These recruiting updates are nothing but fluff.
Are you wasting your time again on free blogs and social media to get the scoop on FSU recruiting?
Yeah, it's all bait and switch. Get me excited with a headline, but get nothing in return. You're on warchant.com. What's really going on with FSU recruiting?
Could be another top 5 class, but for the real scoop, you'll need to get your own War Chant subscription.
What's it cost?
Free. There's a 30-day trial offer. Just sign up and you'll get full access through signing day. And nobody has more accurate and timely information on recruiting than warchant.com.
You know I like free. Sign me up.
Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole source.
I'm Aslan. He's Corey Clark. And Ira, 5-star Schoffel, joining us here on Wake Up War Chant on this Friday. Hope you guys are having a great day. Hope the week will be wrapping up here for you very nicely. This show brought to you by For the Table Hospitality, and there are 3 awesome locations over in the College Town District, Central, Madison Social, and Township. Free parking in the garage, first 2 floors, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to noon, or rather 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Get it right, Aslan. 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So go there for lunch. It's a piece of cake. You can't go wrong there. So what we do here on Fridays, Ira, it's called the Renegade Express. People ask us questions in a thread that we put on the Tribal Council, and then we just go ahead and kind of answer them. Somebody didn't follow the rules, but it's okay. They asked a question, and we'll go ahead and integrate it into the Renegade Express, which, by the way, Ira, it's because Osceola is on the Pony Renegade, so instead of Pony Express, Renegade Express. I thought it was some sort of FedEx, Federal Express thing, but Corey quickly corrected me.
Well,
you might have been right. My theory was just it had something to do with the mascot that's been around Florida State for 40 years.
So many times,
but it could have been Federal Express.
We talk about things. I'm like, what is the meaning of this? And then I'll give some weird answer, and then Corey's like, do you think it's maybe because this? And then it's like, oh yeah, that totally is the reason why. Like Corey, I'm just like, thanks, Corey, appreciate it.
Hey, sorry, buddy. Sorry, I'm just trying to help you out, man.
You're awesome, man. It's no problem. All right, DB1 Noel asks, how far can we go this season without our ace? Right to it. Corey, your thoughts. He's talking about baseball, obviously.
They can go all the way and probably will go all the way.
Oh,
Ira, what do you think?
He's on the wagon.
You need a sound effect for his crazy predictions.
No, that's not crazy at all. That's I like to hear that. So 13-0 right now. The Noles are going to play Wake Forest today. Game 1 of their set. They're actually going to have a doubleheader on Saturday. Cole Sands taking over as Mr. Friday Night. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's still tough. I know it's early, and that's the weird thing about baseball because you can keep getting away with this whole early thing. I asked 11 earlier in the week. They said beginning of the season they want to see 50 at bats before they really start making big, broad generalizations of guys. And a guy like Jackson Luke right now is creeping on 50 at bats and hasn't really been playing or producing at the clip we thought he would. But 11's like, it's all good. He's having really tremendous at bats. I'm not worried about him, and Corey's not either. But I don't know. At what point can you start talking about Omaha streaks being remained alive in terms of 40 wins or hosting regionals? Because at this point, I mean, they played 13 games and they've dominated in some of the games. They've struggled but pulled it out late. So they've won in every single way you could want to win a baseball game. I feel good about them. I don't know if they're one of the best 8 teams in the nation. That's hard to say, but the best 8 teams don't always make it to Omaha, right, Corey?
Yes, that's correct. There have been a few times where Florida State was one of the best 8 teams in the nation and did not make it out there. Last year, they were not really anywhere close to being one of the best 8 teams in the nation, and they did. So baseball is a funny sport. We'll see in June, man. I think they're set up, as long as they don't suffer any more injuries pitching-wise, they're set up to be pretty darn good because the offense will be at least good, maybe great, but at least good, and this pitching staff seems to be the real deal.
Yeah, I mean, I have a little bit of trepidation about Cole Sands. I still want to see him perform on Friday nights at a high level a few more times before I feel really good about, him being the number one guy. But there's just so many other, these freshman guys are in the wings that you could potentially see being inserted into the starting lineup, or at least mix in 3 of these guys on a Sunday and pull out some wins. So we shall see. Again, ACC play starts today for Florida State. They're up in Winston-Salem taking on Wake Forest. It's supposed to be, I think, in the 40s. So keep toasty out there, boys. Ira, this question has nothing to do with you. Buckle up, Aslan. All right, this comes from Maxwell Gibbs. This is his first post he ever made on War Chant. Listen, since both of you are arrogant.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Listen, since both of you, meaning Corey and Aslan, are arrogant and don't know about Dance Marathon and want to talk crap about raising over $2 million for the Children's Miracle Network, allow me to explain it. As an alumnus of Florida State and a part of fraternity, this was one of the greatest experiences while I was at FSU. There are 2 24-hour shifts, not 9. By the way, that was in all caps. 2 24-hour shifts, not 9.
Did you guys trash Dance Marathon?
No, we trashed.
He's not
we didn't
done.
trash anything. At least I didn't. I think it's
Corey's got your back.
They schedule it at the same time as a Florida State basketball game. They have plenty of weekends to schedule the thing, and that was the only complaint. In fact, I know I said multiple times, Maxwell, that it's for a very good cause.
Don't be
arrogant. And schedule it at a different time. That was my only complaint because the student section was a third full because they were all in there dancing, which is great. But why do you have to schedule it on a Saturday when you host a home game? To me, it doesn't make any sense. And they do that every year.
To me, the
Does he explain it? Does he explain why they do it?
He's not done. He's not done yet. He's not done yet. My thing is, I'll admit, the whole concept of dancing for a long period of time to generate money to me is just weird. I'm not.
Trust me, it was Ira. It was Aslan that was trashing it. I don't need to be thrown into that.
All right.
I did not trash it. I think the timing is poor, but I said multiple times that it's for a good cause, and I'm glad they do it.
Maxwell continues on with the UF health banner is for UF Shan, since that's the closest Children's Miracle Network hospital to Florida State. Both of you need to get over your hatred of Greek life and grow up. I expected this out of Aslan since he sucks, but come on, Corey, don't stoop to his level.
Well, Maxwell, look, finally I can agree with you on something. I'm trying. Look, man, I am trying my best, and sometimes he pulls me down. But most of the time, I pull him back up.
He's still not done. Also, FYI.
Good grief. He's talked more this segment than Ira has.
Renegade Express means quick hitters, right, Maxwell.
Also, FYI, Dance Marathon is a nationwide philanthropy and one of the largest in the country.
So he did not address why they have to schedule it on the same weekend as a Florida State basketball game.
Why do you hate the kids, Corey? Why do you guys hate the kids?
Okay.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I don't. I cannot speak for Aslan. I would never speak for Aslan. I don't hate the kids. I don't hate college students. I'm glad they're raising money for. It's a really good cause for the 5th time. I think we can schedule it one of the weekends where Florida State doesn't have a home basketball game. That's all.
Noel Freak 85. I think you hit a nerve with Max there, Aslan. Smiley emoji. My question is one of great importance. Are we going to finally go back to white numbers on the garnet jerseys? If not, do you have the number for the jersey folks at Nike? And would you mind if I called them repeatedly on behalf of all of us with eyes? Yeah, I don't know.
All right, what about you, buddy? What do you think?
I'll look into this.
I was just going to ask Aslan, are you a uniform guy?
I'm not big on it, but I think white numbers on garnet jerseys just makes sense. It was always that way, and that's the one. If people are always talking about when they did the whole ignition or whatever tradition ignition, whatever they called it. It's remix. Yeah, it's Mark Kelly. Looks like somebody's peeing on us. If you want to do one simple thing to differentiate Florida State from Boston College, like just go back to putting white numbers on the garnet jersey. It's so simple, and I don't know why can't they just do it? The thing, remember Oklahoma State and Dallas?
That was the best.
The gold on the white. They're like, this is terrible. This is really terrible. We can't read anything. Like, okay, we'll change it. But they won't move on this, and I don't know why. But I'll look into this. I will look into this.
Make something happen. Corey, so you're a traditionalist, though, man. So you obviously, like, you want everything back the old way, right? I mean, aren't you kind of
there was nothing wrong. There was nothing broken with the uniforms from 1993. Just stay with them. I thought they were really cool. They were bright. They popped. You could read the numbers. You could read the names. Everything worked.
Yeah. All right. Lando Knowles 09. Lando Knowles 09 from Alabama. Shout out. Yellowhammer State. Have y'all heard anything about what the scoring?
Do you guys think there's a chance that I didn't mean to interrupt you. I did mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, you did. It's okay.
Is there a chance that Maxwell subscribed to War Chant specifically to ask that question?
I was going to ask that, but I didn't know if it was appropriate. Can you go back and look at how long he's been a member?
He joined on January 13th, 2018.
No, so he's been a member for a little while.
Okay, all right. Okay, so he's been around for a couple months.
That was before I got here.
Maxwell, nothing but love, buddy. It is a great cause. Take it up with Aslan. I don't know what's wrong with him.
Lando Knowles 09 asks, have y'all heard anything about what the scoring system will be during the spring game? I know this is a small question and probably not one of importance, but I've been wondering about it. And since there's not many questions here, I figured I would ask. Would be kind of interesting to know how Willie's spring game will differ from Jimbo's. Thanks. Well, Lando actually showed some initiative here, Corey and Ira. You can tell Gene. I actually went ahead and emailed Florida State. I'm like, listen, we do a question segment with some of the fans. This was a question.
You did this?
Yeah.
You took this initiative?
I emailed them, and they actually got back to me.
Really?
And I should read the email to you verbatim here because
did it say we can't tell you because we're not telling the media anything?
They're like, are you with a national outlet? No.
Exactly.
And then they hung up on me.
So that's what I'm.
No, this was the response here, Lando. Aslan, thank you for reaching out. The spring game will be scored normally. Thanks, the person who sent me the email.
They don't know. They're just guessing. They don't know. But that would be
what is normally.
Normally, I think
like
they're
a touchdown
split it
is
up.
7
Yeah,
points.
they're going to split it up. I would think they're going to do a guard. I think it'll be an actual game. It's not going to be the whole defense versus offense nonsense. It sounds like the spring game will be scored normally. I would assume it's going to be Garnet versus Gold, which I think is going to be awesome when you really think about it. And I'm being sincere here. It's going to be James Blackman versus Bailey Hockman. Like, it's going to be two guys who are literally fighting for a job going heads up. None of this whole, remember, what was it? I don't know. Was it 15? Was DeAndre? And listen, Corey, I'll go. I know you don't go to battle for me, man. We've clearly seen that. I will die on this hill with you, Corey. Whatever year they played the spring game in Orlando,
DeAndre Francois,
Malik Henry was the best quarterback there. Malik Henry was. He was
all that close.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. He was clearly the better quarterback that day. And I know you took a lot of guff for it, Corey, but I'll defend your honor on that. So I think it'll be cool, though, because it's going to be Hockman versus Blackman the whole time, heads up. I'm excited to see how it's going to shake out. Truly, I really am.
That game was like, there's never been a more corrupt, like when the Russians beat the U.S. basketball team that one year. Like I do think DeAndre Francois was the guy that should have been the starting quarterback. I think Malik Henry, because of all his issues, you had to go with Francois. But Jimbo was going to do whatever he had to do to make DeAndre look good. Remember, like, he fumbled and they called him down?
Yeah, and it was like, he's so clutch. I'm like, what are you talking about? They gave him the ball back. He fumbled.
Jimbo wouldn't call sacks. He wouldn't get, like, literally, that thing was the most staged competition of all time. But, anyway, as far as that would be one of the great questions. I'm glad you got an answer. I don't know if I believe that answer. I can't imagine they've actually had this conversation yet with Willie Taggart. Maybe they have.
No, what we should do is go on YouTube, Oregon spring game from last year.
Yeah.
That would tell us all we need to know.
But I think it depends on what your situation is. I mean, that's the problem with those things is sometimes you think you're going to do it one way. I mean, like that's my point is what if they get into this thing and they find out they only have one quarterback? I mean, something Hockman gets a sore arm or something, whatever. Right. Are you really going to have it be a competition or are you going to have one guy flipping from side to side? Or if you don't have enough line, I mean, there's a lot of variables in the spring and you don't know what you're going to have. And that's why they come up with these crazy scoring systems sometimes is because you just don't have enough players at a certain position.
Final segment of the show and of Friday. Coming up right after this is Wake Up War Chant on ESPN 97.9 Tallahassee.
You're locked in to Wake Up War Chant on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Segments in the books, just one more. Ira Schoffel joining us here on Wake Up War Channel Maslon. Corey Clark, always a part of the program, as are our good friends over at For the Table Hospitality. Their 3 awesome locations are in College Town. Check them out, Central, Madison Social, and Township. And since Ira's here, let's go ahead and shamelessly use him to buoy our ratings. Go to iTunes, 5 stars. 5 stars only. You can say you hate me and I suck like Maxwell did, but just put a 5-star on there, please. It'll be helping out Corey. It'll be helping out Ira. It won't help me out. It's fine. You can hurt my feelings and everything, but just help the program, help the brand.
Give the 5-star for Corey, but leave the comment for Aslan.
Boom. There you go.
Exactly right. Hey, I have a Renegade Express question for Ira.
That's not how it works, but go ahead.
Ira, you've never been on a dating site. Obviously, you've been happily married for.
Since before dating sites. 18 years, buddy.
Woo! Golly, it's been so long. It seems just like yesterday.
It's a beautiful thing.
So if you were on Tinder, though, what would your age range be for the women that would show up in your the women that would be available for you to see? What would you set your age range at?
What waters would you fish in? Cast your net.
I would say...
Or can we ask him, Corey, if he was my age right now, what he would go after, or do we want to use...
Nope. Okay. I want to know his age range right now.
Okay, I'm 47.
Right?
I'm 47? I think I'm 47. Yeah, I'm 47. And I would put the low... Can you pick any numbers? Like have to be like a even, like start at 10, like a 30 or 40? Or
no, you can put whatever you want. It's a slider.
I'm going to put it at 39 to 50.
39 to 50.
Yeah, I feel like that's
very practical. That's pragmatic.
What would
39? Like that's your low end?
I can't be dating like a 30-year-old.
Why not?
I have a daughter that's going to be in college in a couple months. I don't know. I just feel like
they're not 30-year-olds in college. Ira, the rule is Aslan and I talked about this yesterday. You take your age, you divide it in half, and you add 7. That's the youngest person you should date.
That's complicated.
So 30 is like the lowest you could probably go. 31.
39 is limiting the possibilities. Now, Aslan, you tell him your deal.
I don't want to be presumptuous either, Corey.
No, I understand. I feel like you want to open up the pond a little more.
My floor is set at 20. My ceiling's at like 40.
See, I could see you with a 20-year-old more than I could see you with a 40-year-old.
Okay, cool.
How old are you?
I'm 35.
Yeah, but see, you're a young 35.
Thank you. But no, 20 is weird. It
I was
really
an old
is.
47.
Yeah, exactly.
I did some introspection the other day after Corey put me in my place, and it's like 25, 24 probably really is like my floor. But again, for me, it's sparring. It's reps. It's just talking to the girls just to stay fresh and nimble and agile. So when I stumble upon the unicorn 28-year-old girl who's in Tallahassee who's never been married and has no children, I'll be prepared.
Corey's a good source because he wouldn't date anyone under 25.
Oh,
so
yeah, all right.
No, and I would never date anyone older than 40. So it all works out perfectly.
All right, back to your guys' questions. The Renegade Express. Cabal 4256 actually quoted Maxwell's quote and said, "Great first post. You're in the football section in a thread to ask questions talking about dance from a radio show where you think the host, Aslan, sucks. Are you a masochist of some sort? Or just listen to find something you can call him out on?" I do appreciate the insight on how the dance works, though, because I was wondering myself.
Actually, I do too. But and again, I don't want to harp on it, but we would never make fun of people raising money for children or any charity. We were complaining about the timing and the location, that it has to be at the Civic Center during what turned out to be the biggest home basketball game of the year.
He was right that you guys.
They make those schedules way in advance. I feel like you could have maybe done it the weekend prior when Florida State was on the road playing NC State. That's all. That's
he nailed the arrogant thing, though. I mean, you
guys... I own that. I am certainly arrogant.
All right, JDog_20_8 would appreciate more beach volleyball coverage on here, or are you waiting until the show makes its way to the television market? Then we can just show coverage of beach volleyball while y'all talk. My question, yoga or Pilates? Which do you prefer pregame? I assume one or both was an 11's meeting after the game. Love the show, 3 exclamation marks. Thanks for that, J-Dog. That's cool. I appreciate that, man. I actually did yoga when I moved back home on my sabbatical after I left Mississippi. I did yoga for a year, and I loved it. I actually want to start doing it here, but I feel like I'll be the creepy guy because I have a membership at Leach, the student gym.
You tweeted that. How do you get a membership at Leach if you're not a student?
I'm an alumni. Anybody can go. I think
but you have to be an alumni, right?
Alumni, they also have, like, I don't know what the word is, but they have some, I guess there's certain employers that they might be.
I don't think about
here's
it,
the thing, Corey. So
don't
when I first moved here in 2002, so I was, 32 at that point. I'm a young, spry 32. Yeah. I used to go play racquetball with a couple of the interns we had at the Osceola. A couple of the guys that were students at the time. We would go, and I had to pay like $5 to go play there with them. And yeah, man, I felt so creepy. Man, that was the worst. I mean, it wasn't the worst, but it was creepy.
I do.
You got it.
A little bit weird. And if I were actually going to do a yoga class, I know I'd be the only guy with 30 girls who are 18 to 21, and they'd all think that I'm in there to like stare at them. But it's like, no, I really want to get limber and agile because I feel tight.
I don't even know what Pilates is. Corey, do you know what Pilates is?
Everybody does. Actually, Corey, no. 11 asked that in the post game the other day. What's the difference between yoga and Pilates? So I went and looked up what Pilates are, and I still didn't quite get it. I think it's like an Italian chicken dish.
That or a wooden ship that was used in the Civil War.
Aslan, help us out.
I just Googled it. Merriam-Webster tells us that it's a system of exercises using special apparatus designed to improve physical strength, flexibility, and posture and enhance mental awareness.
It tells us nothing.
It's a little more aggressive than yoga. There's more like you're doing squats, you're doing push-ups, you're transitioning to weird things, whereas like yoga is more of like a flowy kind of a thing. You're in one pose, you move your foot, you rotate, and then you're in another pose. Whereas like Pilates is like jump up, get down, do like 10 push-ups, and then it's a little bit more of an aggressive sort of a thing.
You know who was a big yoga guy? DeMarcus Walker.
Yeah.
And
look what happened to him.
I don't think I've ever heard one person who did yoga tell me like they didn't like it. Like everybody that does it like raves about it.
I was a better person after I did it.
It sounds like it's like a life changer too.
It's not that intense, but dude, I literally felt so much more limber and agile, like just getting out of bed or just, leaning over to bend to tie my shoes, like little things. And I'm like, wow, this actually feels a lot better. And, oh my gosh.
Do you have yoga pants? You didn't answer the question.
No, I don't. But gosh, the instructor was actually a Florida State alumnus. He was a bombshell.
Yoga pants are probably the best. I don't want to say invention. They've probably been around a while. The best fashion trend of the last probably century at least.
They're amazing. At the airport, every woman, yoga pants.
When I went to college in the 60s, 50s, whenever it was, So no, I actually went to college in the late 80s, early 90s when the grunge movement was going on.
That was great, wasn't it? There's nothing hotter than a 19-year-old in flannel.
That was literally my entire college experience.
Yeah, mine too.
A little different than what's going on these days.
Yeah. All right, we got a couple more questions to get to, but that's a wrap for the radio segment of this. Stay tuned, though, if you're listening to us in podcast form. If you're listening to us on the radio, download the podcast. Give us a 5-star rating. He's Ira. Corey, I'm Aslan. We'll be back with our overtime segment of the mailbag, the Renegade Express, right after this.
WarChant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source, knows now is a time of true excitement for Nole fans everywhere. That's why WarChant.com is especially proud to announce its newest team member, senior writer Corey Clark. Combine Corey's expertise with owner Gene Williams and managing editor Ira Schoffel, and WarChant.com boasts nearly 50 years of experience covering the team you love. It's Taggart time in Tallahassee, and that means now is the perfect time to sign up for your free 30-day trial. From National Signing Day to March Madness, WarChant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
All right, welcome back to our special exclusive overtime edition, only available for our podcast listeners. Ira Schoffel, our special guest today. He's been here all day today. We appreciate it, Ira. Thanks so much, man.
I had to put off my Pilates a little bit.
Yeah. Corey, always joining us as well. Let's get back to the questions, shall we?
My granddad made an amazing chicken Pilati. That dish was incredible.
Like turkey tetrazzini kind of thing. All right. This is a cool thing. A lot of the people that are asking these questions only have, like, this guy, this is only the 8th ever question he's asked on War Chant. I wonder how many people, like, do you think, Corey, like, what percent of the people that listen to this podcast are War Chant subscribers?
Like, I think 80, Ira would be a better person to ask that. What do you think, Ira?
80, 70? I mean,
no, I would think way less.
You think so?
Yeah,
okay,
I
cool.
think way less. I think, a lot of crossover. But, hey, come subscribe to War Chant, and you'll get more of Aslan and Corey.
Yeah, less of me, more of Corey, more of Ira. That's a good stuff.
And I'm on the boards all the time. I'm mixing it up on the boards a lot. Y'all could converse with me on the message board.
And you can make fun of Aslan on the boards.
Oh yeah, that should be its own like forum.
It's a pinata. All right, FSU alum 8710 says, definitely loving the new host of Wake Up War Chant. The back and forth seems natural. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. We try. I think Corey does a good job of acting like he likes me. I look up to Corey. All my friends ask me, like, dude, like, what's Corey like? Because a lot of my friends told me about Seminole headlines when I was in Mississippi. They're like, dude, so what's it like doing a show with Corey? I'm like, he's cool. Like, really? Like, I'm like, yeah, you can totally tell he's a really cool dude, right? I'm like, yeah, he's cool.
This is ggoing to be like the Jimbo thing. I'm going to have to tell you the real story.
Right.
Later.
The Clark Chronicles.
The Corey Chronicles.
Clark Chronicles coming down. Three-part series. All right. I love that air horn. Okay. So FSU alum 8710 asks, with the stable of horses Florida State has at running back and the brutality of the schedule, any chance we see 2 1,000-yard rushers with Patrick and Akers? Corey.
Yes. I mean, there is a chance, and I don't think it's like a 2% chance either. I think, again, he's going to call – they ran for over 300 yards 7 times last year. They had 7 games with 50-plus rushing attempts. They run so many plays so quickly when they're going well, and you can't give them all to Cam Akers that, I think there's a chance that both those guys get enough touches if they're healthy to get to 1,000 yards.
And he's had good backs. I mean, they had obviously Royce Freeman's a really good back. The USF, Marlon Mack was a really good back. Yep. But he's never had this many backs. I mean, we haven't even seen Kalen Laybourne yet.
Quandre
White. I mean, they're loaded. And Amir Rasul is a guy that I think is going to do a lot better in this offense as opposed to just running between the tackles the way Jimbo had him. So I think this is, man, I think they're going to run for a ton of yards. Again, man, I just, somebody asked me the other day, like, what are the odds that by midseason Cam Akers is playing a lot at quarterback? Like, and I think it's, man, I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, I just think you have so many running backs, and I don't know if any of the quarterbacks are great. So if you're just trying to score points and not produce first-round NFL quarterbacks, I think, I think they need to look at. I think they need to look at that. All
right, we've kind of brushed that conversation off on the show previously. Ira, I'm sure a lot of folks will be encouraged to hear that.
I mean, I just don't. Why not? I mean, I
definitely think that'll be a package for sure. I don't know that if he'll just be like he's running the offense, but I definitely think they'll have a package where he lines up under center because he can't throw too. But I think one of the 2 guys will be the main guy, but that Cam Akers will get some touches at quarterback.
He has to, and
especially because the Bell guy, Walt Bell, is a trick play fiend.
Yeah.
And so he'll want to introduce a lot of that into the offense.
A follow-up question from FSU alum 8710 was, side note, 8-4 does not seem like a panic mode record for the schedule Taggart is being thrown into. So more of a comment, not a statement. I kind of went on here and said that, if Florida State is at this point where the chest is out and this is Florida State, this is a great program, doesn't matter who's here, this program's going to win, well, then this guy should win 10 games in his first year. But Corey is more pragmatic and thinks that, listen, 8 wins is an improvement over last year and that should be good enough. I didn't mean that it should be good enough, but I think it wouldn't be a reason to be, oh, no, this isn't working. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. You're right. I didn't mean to do that to you. I don't want to misquote. That's a bad thing. Right. Not to Ira. To anybody but Ira. You could misquote me to the Pope, but not to Ira. I don't want to look bad in his eyes. Renegade Express Overtime continues with a question. Ira still there? Yeah, he's here. Okay.
I was just savoring that.
I'm trying to get you more involved in this one, Corey. Noel Bully asks, love the horn, and y'all are doing great not holding back on Jimbo's 2014 season. Looking forward to when the pads go on for spring ball to hear more. When did Jimbo's technology gauging players' level of physical exhaustion begin, and did it affect the players' thinking in a negative way?
The old GPS system. That was a
catapult.
Yeah, that was.
Why didn't that work? It didn't seem to work as well.
That was my favorite.
After all the really good players left.
that was one of my favorites. Everybody wrote that as like, this Jimbo Fisher has found the golden ticket. You just got to wear these things, and you'll know how to gauge guys at practice, and you'll win a national title. Or maybe if you just have better players than everybody else. And then
if you have a starting 22 that has 21 NFL players on it, including the Heisman winner, you could put tea bags on them during practice, and it wouldn't matter.
You didn't hear as much about the GPS system the last couple of years. They still wore it, and I think it was still. It was still effective, I guess, engaging guys at practice, but no.
On a serious note, though, you want to talk about entitlement or this team playing soft and giving up. How much of that could factor into where they're constantly telling you, like, maybe you don't feel it, but that GPS is telling Jimbo, listen, his 10-yard split's not as fast as it was 2 weeks ago. Let's slow it down on him. And then you start maybe babying yourself. I mean, that's legitimate, perhaps. I mean, we're not going to get an answer on it, but that could be something maybe in there.
No, it's possible. And it was supposed to work the other way as well, though. You could tell if a guy was not giving exertion. Yeah. He wasn't exerting himself to the highest level. So, look, man, it's one of those things, the whole idea, the crux of all of Jimbo's issues with the administration was about, having every resource available because every inch matters and, you're competing with everybody else for all this technology. And so I get the reason you want to have it. But at the end of the day, it's blocking, tackling. Better players.
There you go. Next question comes from Garnet76. Actually, Garnett. This is another one that Corey pointed out. It was Garnet. I'm like, it's Garnet with 2 T's. And then Corey said,
that's what Aslan said last time, Ari. He's like, Garnet this guy's name is Garnet76, but he spells it with 2 T's.
It might be Garnett Stokes, the former provost or interim president when Jameis had his whole.
Or as Corey so astutely pointed out, maybe it's Garnett. Yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah, it probably is Garnett. So I apologize, Garnett.
Garnett Stokes probably isn't 76 years old, though, right?
No, she is not.
I don't think so.
All right, Garnett. 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 All right, I can't even say it right now. Garnett 76. Jimbo alert. When Jimbo looks back at his time at Florida State, what will he consider to be his biggest mistakes, and will he change them at, quote, the other school, or will he simply try to duplicate what he did at Florida State?
Corey? That's a really good question. Because I don't know, what do you think, Ira, what do you think Jimbo thinks his, I guess I'm just repeating Garnett's question. But what do you think he thinks his biggest mistake is?
Agreeing.
Or do you think thinks he made mistakes?
Agreeing to talk to us so often?
Letting people watch the games?
No, I don't. No, I do think that's a big issue. I mean, I think, and that was kind of one of the things I touched on in that story, was that he didn't really want to admit any mistakes or failures. And so as long as that's what you do, it's hard to improve. So I think he believes he's going to go back and just do what he did when he started at Florida State. And it may work. I mean, it may work in the short term. I just don't think it'll work in the long term. But I don't think Jimbo does a whole lot of self-reflection personally.
I would hope that he will understand the importance of coaching harmony in terms of maybe a staff and just don't take chances on guys. I don't know if there was any sort of nobility in what he did for Charles Kelly, but I mean, you're making $75 million there, and they want a national championship, I'm sure, within 3 years. So probably not going to be able to give your friends favors and then pay him $800,000 a year. Jerk.
I would be interested if he does have great success. Say he does win a national championship in year 4. Because the biggest mistakes that I think he made, obviously the first half of his tenure, he did a lot of things really well. But he really flubbed it after they won the national title. He wanted them to have that attitude of domination and go out and crush teams. And then halfway through that season, he's just like, as long as we're winning. Like, that just went away. And I wonder if that's where he thinks maybe he would make, if they ever got to a place at Tech, because he's not going to change anything in how he rebuilds Texas A&M from how he rebuilt Florida State, because it worked. Like, it worked quickly. So he's going to try to follow the same blueprint, I would think, initially. But that second wave, if that ever comes where he somehow wins a national title, I wonder if he would look to change whatever mistakes he made after winning the national title, if he would do the self-reflection then. Like, hey, I don't want to happen here what happened in Tallahassee.
Yeah, I just don't think he will. But the one thing I'm curious,
because he has to realize that it took a huge dip, right? Even a guy that doesn't want to admit mistakes at all, just going by the record, he has to see how much that something went really wrong the last 3 years.
You would think, man. I just don't. I don't see it. I also think that the biggest question I have, I guess, is if he's cognizant of what all has come out, the stuff we've written, the stuff Jeff has said, the stuff that other people have put out there about his time in these last couple of years and how dysfunctional things were and how difficult he was to deal with. I mean, there's been stories written about it, articles, radio shows, podcasts. I wonder if that affects him at all. I wonder if people over there are asking him about it, and I wonder if it's affecting at all how he's going to act with people, because it's out there. The world in 2018 is pretty different to where if we write a story, everybody over there can read it. So I'm curious to see if now that that's all out there, if it'll change his approach at all.
I mean, if he caught wind of any of these stories, I mean, he's got to be embarrassed, but probably thankful that you guys didn't totally spill the beans on him, because I'm sure there's other things you guys haven't revealed. But these stories got to get back to him and that fan base, and maybe they don't care as much because they're in the honeymoon phase of things. But like, if similar the things that Florida State fans have had to reconcile about Willie Taggart are that he's tweeted the same thing 3 years in a row at 3 different schools about, make it a great day, which really pales in comparison to letting kids not caring about their grades, trashing planes, not caring about coaches getting in fights with players in the middle of the game. I mean, made out like bandits. Again, at the end of the day, it's the absolute perfect thing for Florida State, because financially they're off the hook, and it sounds like there's a total breath of fresh air in that entire building, which is such a huge, important, vein and ventricle into this entire university. And
Jimbo gets to wear his cowboy hat.
Yeah, and
I guess he didn't feel
and his
wearing
badge
it in Tallahassee, but he finally gets to break that bad boy out.
He gets to wear his badge too. All right, winding down, a few more questions here. Enol_2000. Sorry there. After seeing Josh Sweat's numbers at the NFL Combine, should he have been in pass coverage on that last drive against Miami instead of McFadden?
Oh, man.
The streak may still be alive. Hashtag what could have been.
Yeah, he should have been returning kicks too. Literally anything any other defense they could have drawn up would have been better than the one they had the last play against Miami.
Man.
And then he spent 15 minutes of that next press conference explaining why it was the perfect coverage.
Yeah.
You don't want to play prevent. You want to get pressure. You want to play press man. That's exactly what you want to be in, because it worked.
Yep. Because you can always tell it works every time. And there's no risk other than you give up a game-winning touchdown.
Some people, Aslan, you weren't here at the time, some people thought if you've got Derwin James, who's kind of a special athlete, that maybe it would be better to have him somewhere near the end zone,
right,
as opposed to covering a tight end on a drag route.
I agree with that sentiment.
And also having 10 players by the line of scrimmage.
Within about 2 yards of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, they're at the 2 yard. They're already well within field goal range. So what are you trying to prevent them to do? Preventing them from getting to the 14? Or the 17? Like, it's already a makeable field goal. You just got to hope he misses. The one thing you can't have is single coverage with apparently the slowest cornerback in the history of college football.
The thing, don't you have to learn from your mistakes? Was it not the Duke game that McFadden was in man coverage,
and it wasn't going to make a play? He just stood there on the ground,
and
Derwin had to come over and knock it away.
So yeah. I mean, again, as Enol _2000 hashtagged, what could have been. All right, final question of the overtime mailbag comes from Mr. HK, not Mr. Since you've nailed Coach T to 10 wins, go through the schedule and give us your realistic W's and L's. Do the same with your man, Jimbo. I guess by your man, he means me. Your man. Even assuming he made critical staff changes, assuming that A&M has a great staff. All right, Mr. Stand by. Let me go ahead and pull up the schedule for both of these teams.
Remember Mr. Alexander?
Oh, I do. What a great name. Do you remember your Highness Morgan?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's a good one.
All right, let me.
Mr. Alexander, I remember one of the first practices I covered at Florida State. Back then, we could get him coming off the practice field.
Good old days.
And and he was a linebacker, and Bob Thomas was right. He's now works at Seminoles or for Florida State, but he wrote for Jacksonville.
Yeah,
he's a beat writer forever and a really good one. And I remember him going, "Hey, Mister, hey, Mister." I'm like, who's he talking to? Well, why was he calling a kid a Mister?
Mister, I've got your car.
It was just funny to hear
I parked
somebody
it around
say,
the corner.
"Hey, Mister," like it was a
Mister, I've got your car ready.
All right. I guess we can do this exercise in March and see what happens. All right, I'll start us off, and then Corey, if you want to go, and then Ira can go afterwards. Virginia Tech win. Corey?
Oh, I thought you were going to go all at once.
Oh, you want
win. Yeah, I'll do win there.
How should we do it, Corey? Should I just do?
Yeah, that's fine. We'll just run the table. Let's go.
Virginia Tech win. Corey says win. Ira?
I say win.
Samford, I won't even answer it. At Syracuse, we all agree they win.
Yep.
Northern Illinois, we all agree they win. They're 4-0. At Louisville, win. Lamar Jackson ain't there anymore. Win it.
Yeah, I'm going to go win too.
Yeah, this is really hard because you have no idea who the quarterback's going to be. But
it's going to be Cam Akers by that point.
That's true. Good point. So I'm going to say win.
I don't want to answer this one. At Miami, I'm
going to say they're going to lose one of those.
Okay,
so
that's fair.
However you want to put it, I think they'll lose one of those. So after 6 games, I feel like they're going to be 5-1.
They're going to go into the bye 5-1. I can,
sounds good.
Yeah, we'll all agree that. We'll sign that. Wake Forest.
Would they have been the same with Jimbo or not?
That's a good question.
I mean, the way things were going, I guess that's the problem. The problem with doing this is if you assume you're going to look at
it's a big assumption to say he was going to make coaching changes.
Well, that's what I was going to say. And you'd also go into it. You couldn't remove what happened those last couple months.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, you can put the idea of what Jimbo was before those last couple months, but those last couple months happened, and I don't know how you reverse that.
I'll say this. I wouldn't be as optimistic probably about the Virginia Tech game. I think Virginia Tech game, just that first game, I feel they're just going that crowd is going to be 2010 Oklahoma-esque, but they won't get let down with a loss.
Yeah, and if Jimbo was calling the plays, it would probably be a 3-point game one way or the other.
Right. All right, so we're 5-1 going into the bye week. We come out playing Wake Forest at home, win. Clemson at Doak. I mean, golly. I mean,
I'm going to say loss.
Yeah, I guess you have to. I think that'll be another magical game. I think that if this is as good as it's going to be, that they win that game. I'm going to go ahead and say they win.
I'm going to say they'll lose.
All right. At NC State.
Oh, I know Ira's picking a loss.
It's a snake pit. Have you ever been there, Aslan?
I've never been to Carter Finley Stadium. I've not.
We should all make the trip this year, Corey.
Okay, I'll go.
Well, let's do it. Take your earplugs.
I got all right.
I will say again. I think I'm going to do the cop out. I'm going to say they're going to lose one of those two, the Clemson or the NC State one. They're not winning both.
Well, see, I think
they split them.
I think they split the road trips between NC State and Notre Dame. They made Notre Dame November cold game.
Oh yeah.
I can see them losing Notre Dame. Then Boston College at Doak. I see that as a victory. Florida,
that's gonna be some sweet revenge.
Florida, man. Oh, beat Dan Mullen. Do not let Dan Mullen win that game in Tallahassee. Just that can't happen. That can't happen. That'll hurt. I mean, you want to talk about he goes 10-1 and then loses that game Like all the goodwill of having beat, like say he beats Miami and Clemson, but loses to Notre Dame, then you lose to Florida. I think so much of the goodwill is lost in that. I really do. Because that's the one
if you beat Clemson in your first year,
I guess you're going to the ACC championship game. So I hate that.
That's pretty good. They would get over it. Yeah, it would be a disappointment, but I think people would get over it if they were going to the ACC championship game.
All right, that was terrible radio. Let's finish with some good radio. Let's go ahead and pile on Texas A&M. Northwestern State, they're going to win that game. Clemson at College Station. Clemson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They get Louisiana Monroe. They're going to be 2-1. Then they go at Alabama. They lose.
Yes.
2-2.
Of course.
Arkansas. I think Arkansas maybe beats them. I think Chad Morris gives them a little bit of, this fast-paced stuff and he doesn't know what to do with it. So they're 2-3. Then they get Georgia at home. I don't know. Mark Stoops.
I think they're 3-3 after 6 games.
Do you think Mark Stoops comes in there like, I got something for this guy?
I don't think so, man. Kentucky's
no.
At South Carolina against a guy that used to have the timeshare with.
I think that could be a loss.
Yeah, 4-4. I'm looking at 4-4 right now.
At Mississippi State.
They're not going to handle the cowbells well. So that's 4-5.
At Auburn.
4-6.
That's a weird thing, though. Literally, ever since A&M came into the SEC, the road team has won every game. So they're the road team in that game.
Jimbo's going to snap that streak.
Okay. They'll beat Ole Miss at home.
Oh, okay.
Then they have UAB at home.
Is Ole Miss supposed to be terrible? So we're looking at like 6-6 maybe. 7-5, 6-6.
And then they have LSU on the Saturday after Thanksgiving in College Station. Ogeron. Oh, great respect for Jimbo Fisher, what they do over there in College Station. Really good guy. I know he wanted my job, but I got the job over him, and now he's here in College Station on the dirt prairie.
You have because you had a binder.
That's pretty good. It needs to be a little more gravelly. A little bit more gravelly.
I got to read. See, I have to have something to read, So
that was good though, man.
It was good.
You should do that.
I'm curious to see what Jimbo's talking points are at 6-6, because see, the thing is, when he took over here, when he was offensive coordinator here, and then even when he took over, he could talk about all the problems here and all the things he had to overcome. He had to turn the roster. He had to get better facilities and an indoor practice facility. There were all these things he needed, but he doesn't have. They already have the facilities. I mean, I guess he could talk about trying to.
They have some good quarterbacks too. They have some good quarterbacks. I don't know if they have a lot of skill position guys. I know they lost Christian Kirk, obviously, but I think he's got Kellen Mond, and I think he's got the Starkle kid to choose between. They're both pretty talented kids.
I'm curious what the crutch is going to be.
We'll see.
It'll be. It's gonna be fun, man. I swear, I'm gonna watch more Texas A&M, and so you can play the little the horn for me, because I'm gonna be watching them more as much as I watch Florida State.
That's good.
And that's a wrap on the show. He's Ira Schoffel, the managing editor of WarChant.com. Thanks for your time, I really appreciate it, man. You're married, you got kids, you could be doing a million different things, but you're hanging out with us.
I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man. And Corey Clark.
Not a million different things.
325,000 different things. Corey, when are we going to see you? Are you going to be here Sunday for the
next show, buddy? The next show, I'll be live in studio.
Okay, so Selection Sunday. We're imagining that on CBS or TBS when they announce all 68 teams at once, because that's what they're going to do now. That we're going to hear Florida State's name called, right?
Are they really just going to put up the bracket?
Yeah, no, they're going to do all 68.
They're going to announce all the teams first, and then go show the brackets.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do.
Really alphabetically, apparently.
So they're going to tell
that's what
they're tell you you're in, and then tell you who you play.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
And where?
Yep.
And the seed. Yeah, I feel like Florida State's going to be in.
What was wrong with the old way?
I don't know. It's 2018.
I think the thinking was that they drag it out so much that last year the last bracket didn't get revealed till 6:45.
So.
I don't know. They want to make it an hour show. It used to be a 30-minute show. I don't know. Who can know, Ira? Who can know?
It's overtime.
But I love you guys.
Exhausted. Yeah.
I love you more than you'll ever know.
Same here, Corey.
That's Corey. He's Ira Maslon. Thanks for listening, folks. Have a great weekend.